The question of what human beings really are has been tossed around by countless thinkers for thousands of years. Different cultures and religions have given a wide variety of answers, and this question is not just a topic for philosophers to talk about over a cup of tea, but it actually affects the way we all live our lives, the governance of our societies, and even our understanding of the universe. It is important to look back in history to see how ancient Greece began to systematize thinking about human beings' relationship with God and nature. The philosophical study of human beings challenges us to think deeply about fundamental questions, promotes critical thinking, and provides insights into ethics, society, and existence. It helps us to understand ourselves, explore morality, engage with social and political ideas, reflect on existential questions, and develop critical thinking skills. Overall, it enriches our understanding of ourselves and the world. The Western perspective situates the actual birth of philosophy in the attempt to understand the world exclusively through rational perspectives, breaking from the traditional Aching, from the traditional mythical and religious explanations for natural phenomena that had pervaded early human history. The first philosopher in this definition was Thales, one of the 7 sages of Greece, a mathematician and astronomer from the ancient Miletus in Ionia. Greece, currently a ruin near Belat, Turkey. He wanted to discover the material origins of life and the world through observation. He noted that living, moving things usually were either humid or needed water or wetness in order to thrive, and analogously dead, and still. Things either were or became dry. Thus he thought that water must be the primal element from which all life springs, the single substance permeating existence to understand the world. Then one must understand one's own measure, both in substance and geometry, leading to his advice carved into the entrance to the Temple of Apollo in Delphi. Know thyself, his method of a philosophical approach to understand the natural world. Inspired many others, culminating in the creation of the Milesian school, named after their town, later becoming the Ionian school, which is named after its greater region, lasting until the 5th century BCE. But to fully understand humanity, we also need to look at the world outside the West. Religious and cultural traditions like Islam, Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism offer different perspectives on human nature.
Allah tells us why we are here in a simple but profound verse in the Quran. He says that the only reason we were created was to worship Him. See, when we think of worship, we think of praying, but actually, worship in Islam is far deeper than that. Anything we love the most, or obey the most, or rely upon the most is an act of worship. This means that every single one of us is worshipping something or someone at any time. For example, some people love money more than anything, that their purpose becomes gathering and collecting as much as they can. This love for money is an act of worship. Some people rely on the approval of others to the point where the number of likes they get on Instagram affects their mood and behavior. This reliance and dependence on others is an act of worship. And amazingly, this is why Allah says, "Have you seen the one who takes his own desires as his God?" When fulfilling our desires becomes our purpose, we have worshipped our own selves. Arguably, this is the biggest God of today. We live in a time where we do what we want and strive to be who we want. If this was what life was all about, why are the richest people the emptiest? Why are celebrities taking their own lives? Why are so many people still unhappy? The answer can be found in the Quran, where Allah tells us that the enjoyment of this life is the enjoyment of delusion. Chasing our desires and the material of this world is a drunk type of enjoyment. True fulfillment comes from directing all acts of worship to the Creator, not creation.
A collection of sayings written down by his followers. Some of the morals Confucius taught are easily recognizable, most notably, his version of the Golden Rule, do not do unto others what you don't want done to yourself. but some of them also sound very strange or old-fashioned to modern ears, especially to Western ones. But we need his advice all the more for this. It serves as an antidote to the troubles we currently face. We should treat our parents with reverence in particular. Confucius had a very strict idea about how we should behave towards our parents. He believed that we should obey them when we are young, care for them when they are old, mourn at length when they die, and make huge sacrifices in their memory. Thereafter, he even said that we shouldn't travel far away while our parents are alive, and should cover for them if they steal a sheep. This attitude is known as filial piety. This sounds strange now when many of us leave our parents' home as teenagers and rarely return to visit. We may even see them as strangers, arbitrarily thrust upon us by fate. After all, our parents are so out of touch, so pitifully human in their shortcomings, so difficult, so judgmental, and have such bad taste in music. Yet, Confucius recognized that, in many ways, moral life begins in the family. We cannot truly be caring, wise, grateful, and conscientious unless we remember Mom's birthday and meet Dad for lunch. Emphasizing the interconnectedness of all beings, the impermanence of the self, and the potential for liberation from suffering through spiritual practice and self-awareness. The Buddhist concept of the human being centers on the view of the self, or ego, as an illusion. According to Buddhist teachings, self-awareness is a construct that leads to attachment, craving, and suffering. By recognizing the true nature of the self as impermanent and interdependent, individuals can overcome suffering and achieve enlightenment. In Hinduism, they believe that the universe is one and everything is interconnected. Thus, the individual soul, Atman, and the cosmic soul, Brahman, are virtually one and the same. In addition, Hinduism also focuses on the role and responsibility of the individual in society. Depending on their respective occupations and social status, caste system, individuals have different responsibilities and duties. This social structure is considered to be part of the cosmic order, Dharma. In the heart of ancient China emerges Taoism, a profound philosophy and spiritual path that teaches the art of living in harmony with the Tao, the essential, eternal principle that is the foundation of the universe and all that exists within it. As we explore the Taoist view of humanity, we uncover a vision of intrinsic goodness and simplicity, where each individual is seen as a natural extension of the Tao itself. Taoism introduces us to Wu Wei, a principle often translated as non-action or effortless action. This isn't about doing nothing. Rather, it's about aligning so closely with the natural world that our actions unfold spontaneously, without force or contrivance. And then there is Ziran, or spontaneity, a state of being where actions arise naturally and effortlessly. In Ziran, we are fully authentic, moving and acting without pretense or facade, truly in tune with the essence of who we are. In addition to the effects of different cultural backgrounds, psychology and sociology offer another perspective on understanding human beings. When we explore psychological and sociological understandings of human beings, we first encounter the concept of human. In psychology, humans are viewed as individuals with distinctive mental processes and patterns of behavior. This includes the study of cognition, emotion, and motivation, and emphasizes how individuals think, feel, and act in a variety of situations. In sociology, on the other hand, humans are viewed as part of a society and are influenced by the social environment, culture, and social interactions. Sociology is concerned with human behavior and roles in groups and how social structures and culture shape individual thoughts and behaviors. It should be noted that of the two aforementioned systems, do we lean more toward the old traditional ways, if only because of their emphasis on discipline and memorization. This is not to say that he was not, in some degree, in agreement with the Romantics. The child's natural disposition, he believed, should be the starting point of education, but it cannot be the only starting point. what he thought can be of equal importance. And something we must also take into account is who the child is, where they are from, what their cultural background is, and what their community places value upon. All of these factors must be integrated into our system. If not, we risk alienating a child simply because what we are teaching them is not in accordance with their developing needs. And if we are not successful in creating an environment which reproduces the child's individual social circumstances, then interest as well as success and education is likely to dramatically decrease. With this in mind, it should go without saying that a national standardization will not do. The vast differences between individual children will inevitably prevent success. It should not be the mindset that each child should strive to attend a prestigious university of which only a select few will actually attain. The aim is to educate, with the primary objective being the preparation of each child to function as highly as is possible in the democratic society, which they will soon inherit when executed correctly. We gain the greatest likelihood of developing them to their full potential and giving to each student the ability to make use of their individual capacities. The question of education, said Dewey, is the question of taking hold of children's activities, of giving them direction. We are not only preparing the child to pass from adolescence to adulthood, but preparing him or her for a continuous growth of the mind and a continuous illumination of life. In order that we as a society should achieve this, we must make significant changes to those who educate our children. They must, in addition to knowing their specific subject, also be trained to identify and separate different cultural systems. Would be rather difficult on our educators and would require generous investment, as well as the restraint to withhold personal prejudices, so as to avoid any indoctrination to that educator's or to that institution's ideology. Each must be given those lessons which addressed problems pertaining to their actual life, or what was most likely to be the life which they would grow into. This desire to connect education with society as a whole is rooted in his fervent wish for a thriving democracy.